Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. It's time for the C3 stream. Bum 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 bum. I will miss that sound. Isn't that funny? Hello, welcome to Tuesday Night Teaching. You guys out there? Yes, you are. I see you, and I see you running on all three platforms. Way to go. Everybody's here. Hey guys, welcome to Tuesday Night Teaching. Hi Katie. She replied, hello. Yeah, welcome to Tuesday Night Teaching. And of course, this is a special Tuesday Night Teaching, everyone. Yes, I know. Heartbreak is about to happen, but as I have shared with you the last 2 weeks, tonight is our final, that is correct, final Tuesday Night Teaching. We're going to be shutting her down. Time to say goodbye. The grand finale. That's right, Emily. Time to say goodbye to a wonderful good thing so that we can say yes and hello to other greater and even better things. And that's just sometimes part of the way it works, you know? So, yes, bittersweet. I'll run with that. Bittersweet is right. And so to enjoy my bittersweet evening with you, I am rocking one of the mugs that you guys gave me. This one is from, I think this is the Tibbetts family gave me this one. I've had so many good mugs on this show. Show as if this is a show or something. I feel like I'm being interviewed on a show of some like a late night show or something. That's hilarious. But anyways, I am sipping some tonight. I thought about what kind of coffee, what kind of tea, and you know what I decided on? Hot chocolate. That's right. I'm drinking hot cocoa to celebrate our final Tuesday Night Teaching. I'm loving it. A little bit of hot cocoa, and I should bring our honorary member up close again. This was another good memory from the last number of weeks. This was given to me by the Matson family. There he is. My very own bobblehead has kept us company. We've had good company. Martin's upstairs. Martin normally keeps me company. Martin and I like to sit and talk theology next to Martin's books, but yeah, it's been fun having you guys as company on these Tuesday nights. I have been so very grateful for the last going on year and a half, 2 years worth of streaming, and so I'm not saying no, or I'm not saying no to the future. I'm not saying no to the possibility that I might come back for some classes or some brief experiences for a short set amount of time, but I'm going to cease the regularity of the every Tuesday night teaching. Bible study. We've been doing Bible study now for a long time. The bobblehead, exactly. You remember Katie, the bobblehead? He keeps Martin company. Martin's upstairs right now. Yeah, so tonight, as it is the last night, I debated on what to do, and here's what I landed on. So like it or not, here's what you're getting. And hopefully you won't click out because you're like, oh, this is totally lame and not what I wanted. But rather than spend our time doing our usual biblical studies, yes, I know, that's why you're here, to do the biblical studies. What I wanted to do is spend a little time equipping you and preparing you for further biblical study on your own, right? And to show you where there are good resources so that you can continue studying. So part of my intent in setting aside time with you guys is to teach you how to look and approach a biblical text, to show you as by virtue of example how you can read the Bible in such a way as to see it both the big picture. We did some very big picture pieces, if you guys remember going way back. We've done everything from studying an overarching theme or idea, going back to temple. We studied people, so we studied Paul. We did a series on Paul for, 9-10 weeks. We did Paul. We've done broad overviews, or what is sometimes referred to as a biblical survey. We did a biblical survey of both the Old Testament, and then we did an overarching survey of the entire Bible. Those were really fun. I really enjoyed those a lot. And then we also did a little bit slower, more methodical, sometimes what's referred to as like an exegetical, which is where you just go line by line, piece by piece, word by word, We've been doing that the last a number of weeks. We've been doing that for a long time now. We've been in the Gospel of Luke. And the intent behind the Gospel of Luke is to set you up not only to finish the Gospel of Luke, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but also to help you carry on in your own studies and reading, is to see how Luke moves into the book of Acts. Yeah, the same guy who wrote the book of Luke, the Gospel of Luke, wrote the book of Acts. The Gospel of Luke is about the life of Jesus, and the book of Acts is about the life of the church. And if you read, or see how I did that? When you read the book of Acts, you will find that the book of Acts will lead you into the letters, because you'll be learning about like Paul and all these sort of things, and all the birth of the church and all these sort of things. And so it makes a natural progression to move then into studying the letters once you finish the book of Acts. So that was the intent, to set you up on a good trajectory. You know what I mean? Trying to set you up well. So, okay. So here's what I'm thinking for tonight then. I would like to share with you and to spend time taking you through recommended study help resources. Okay? Other resources besides me that I want to commend to your attention as you continue studying. Because now you've gotten into the rhythm. Many of you have gotten into the rhythm of setting aside Tuesday nights. So don't give up the habit of setting aside Tuesday nights. And I've got a bunch of different things. Everything from podcasts to videos to books. But the point and the intent is to say, look, you have carved out Tuesday nights for teaching, right? Or if you're listening to this after the fact, you've carved out another period of time for some sort of biblical enrichment, Christian life enrichment opportunity, growth. Don't give up the habit, okay? So to that end, I want to give you tools and resources tonight to make you feel more well-equipped as you continue on in your studies. Also, here's my big bold claim for tonight as well. Fair game, open Q&A. Like if you got questions out there that you want to float, I don't know about anything, resources, biblical texts, stuff that you wish you would have had somebody answer a long time, I don't know, whatever. I ask that you would be sensitive to the fact that I would be taking them off the cuff, so I might only be able to give you a limited answer, or I might defer you to a more private conversation, admittedly. I'll put that little asterisk on there. But if you got something that you wanted to float in terms of a Q&A anytime tonight, throw it out there because. So, does that sound good? We're going to do that. We're going to show you some really good, these are resources and ideas and things that I trust and that I use for my preparation, for when I think about my sermon writing and stuff like that. I've got software, I got videos, I got a bunch of stuff to show you tonight to help you keep your study going. All right, let's do it. Oh, oops, seeing double. All right, so here's my computer. And the first thing that you'll notice is that I am on YouTube. Now, I'm a huge fan of YouTube. I do a lot of YouTube for watching sermons, for searching different various churches that I appreciate and trust, places that I can learn from. I'm a huge fan of the amount of material that's out there on YouTube. YouTube is such an incredible resource at your fingertips because of the variety of content available for free. Now, that said, you need to know where to go on YouTube. It's not enough to just search a topic on YouTube. So, even though I want to advocate for the use of YouTube for video content, where you go on YouTube matters. Okay? So don't, take it. Good. Katie's on board. Good. Perfect. So YouTube is a great resource for you. But bear in mind where you go. Usually what I'm going to recommend is churches. I will recommend that you stay within the house of churches. And what I mean by a church is like an actual local established church, not like a little house church, not like a... You will find on YouTube tons of these guys because anybody can have a video camera now and post on YouTube. Anybody can have a channel. Don't go to the channels that are, such and such, whatever. Anyways, that be conscious of the name and be conscious of where the content is coming from. So you got to do a little bit of research if you're going to go on YouTube. Okay? You got to be willing to do the research if you're going to go to YouTube to find out who you're listening to, because who you're listening to makes a big difference. It matters. So here's the case of Christ Church, right? Christ Church Mequon. If you're not subscribed yet, hit subscribe and hit this little bell thing, okay? Make sure those are both lit. Right now, we are streaming this. This is what we're streaming, the recap. You can always watch previous weeks of various Sunday morning experiences, okay? I'm showing you this as an example. There's kids material on here, and then for kicks and giggles, they in fact, as of right now, we're housing this stream. The C3 stream is still on here. And here's what I want you to see, though, is that I've got a playlist. All right. So a couple different places you can go. You can go to here to the playlist, and you can go up top to playlist. Okay. But if you go to playlists, there are a bunch of different playlists, and there's a CC3 playlist. If you view that playlist, these are all of the various streams that we have done together. All right. There's 68 of these. How about that? 68 streams or so. Now, bear in mind, not all of them. There's been a big evolution over the last, year and a half, 2 years in terms of the quality of the stream, admittedly. Okay? So, if you're going to go back to the very beginning, some of these are brutal. Some of these I don't have. Oh, look, there's a bobblehead. Some of these I don't have great audio, et cetera, et cetera. But, and sometimes, I got to clean up the order. Like, here's an example where you got to be careful. So, here's Paul 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But then Paul 7 is up here, and Paul 8 is up there, right? Divine Drama, we did the series of Divine Drama together. So the point of me showing you all this, here's Divine Drama running up to, Divine Drama took us all the way up into Luke. 22 episodes of Divine Drama. We did Paul before that, and then before that I couldn't figure out how to label anything. So these are all just a hodgepodge of stuff. Divine Drama, we did 22 weeks. So if you're looking for a broad overview, you can always re-listen to these, okay? Go back to these. And then we started in Luke. And here you can see Luke. We've been running on Luke now for a number of weeks. Okay. So the point of this is to show you that, one, Christ Church has a YouTube channel. Okay. And there's a lot of good stuff on here. Oh, look at that. Online Bethlehem Experience 2020, Advent videos, lots of uploads. Okay. So, I want to also show you, maybe you guys know this, but if you go to christchurchmequon.life, you can go to watch and listen. And here you are going to be able to access all the previous Christ Church sermon content. There's the Relevance podcast, and if you click on this, it will take you to the podcast itself. If you scroll down, you will get the video. Okay. You can always load more. The point of me showing you all this again is to show you how you can continue to go back in time. Let's do oldest first. All right, so this is going back to 2018. All right, so there's plenty of good sermon, good teaching, good biblical work in here. That you can spend, that was such a fun one, my big fat mouth, that you can go back and listen to these and re-listen to these. The Bible has not changed. The themes and the intent of these biblical studies has not changed. So go back and re-listen to old podcasts. Now, on top of that, you can go to a place called Vimeo. Do you guys know Vimeo? Here you go. Go to Vimeo and search. Let's just do it together. For Christ Church Mequon. Okay. Now it's a little confusing because we have like an old one. This is an old one. And then you'll find a newer one. Look for the new logo. Now on this one, we got videos and more videos. We go further back than 2018. And if you go to a place called Showcases, you don't need to remember this right now. All you need to remember is you can get back to this video, and then you'll be okay. Go to Showcases, and then in here, you can see some of the specialty showcases. Like here's 2018, here's 2017, here's 2016, 2015, 2014. I mean, you can go way back. Way back. Okay? Lots of content here. There's a big deal around how Jesus will be the line of David. Yes, Matthew specifically lays out genealogy, but finishes with Joseph from the line of David, but Jesus is not Joseph's blood. Why is it so important to set the line of Jesus? He's not part of the bloodline. Oh, good question. Okay. We'll handle that in 1 second. Really good question. Okay, so these are teachings and videos that you guys can go back to as well. And this is on Vimeo. And all you need to do is search for Christchurch. And you can find it. Okay. Good. I'm going to pause and I'm going to dive into Emily's Q&A. All right. There's a big deal about how Jesus is from the line of David. True statement. Particularly since Jesus is the fulfillment of the Davidic promise. The Davidic promise being brought to us in, as if I'm good enough to tell you chapter and verse. I can't. I wish I could. I wish I could tell you off the top, but I can't. I'd have to go find it. But the David, it's like 2 Samuel 6, maybe? Samuel 6 or 7. Let's look. God's promise 7. All right. Not too bad. All right. 2 Samuel 7 gives us the big promise. And in this promise, God essentially says, like, I'm going to establish you. I will build a house for you. Your servant is found courage. Sovereign Lord, you God, your covenant is trustworthy. God says, I'm going to make you into a house. You want to build me a house? I will make you in a house. And it's a play on words because the word translated for house is also dynasty in Hebrew. It works as both ways. And so God, David has the arrogance. David has the assumptive. Yeah, it's okay to say arrogance. He has the assumptive arrogance to be able to say, God, I'm going to build you a temple. And God's like, you got blood on your hands. You ain't going to build me no temple. I'll let your son do it. And I've never needed a house. I don't need a house. Wherever my people are, that's where I go. That's the point of the tabernacle. I tent with you. I live with you. I don't need a permanent residence. Thank you very much. But since you were so kind and so generous to offer, I will do the inverse. I will flip it back on you, and I will make you a residence. And by that he means I will house myself, my name, my person, within the context of your dynasty. So related to your question, Emily, here is the question that you're raising is Matthew, the genealogy of Matthew, let's do it, begins. Matthew is written to the Jewish people as a gospel, and so Matthew is highly concerned with genealogies. All right, the genealogy of Jesus. This is the genealogy of Jesus. And it goes through, and it will show you how he begins with Abraham, and there are different movements, specifically highlighting the King David. What is it, 14? Josiah. Josiah was a huge figure with the Babylonian exile being the next benchmark. And then here's where we go. You get to the very end. Matan, the father of Jacob, and Jacob, the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, and Mary was the mother of Jesus, who was called the Messiah. So the question that she's raising is a good question. Why is this a big deal if Joseph himself, if the genealogy is tracked through Joseph, but Joseph did not biologically have Jesus the way Mary did? Why is that so important? Why did they go out of their way to go through all this tracking if, ironically, Joseph was not biologically involved to the same way that, like, Mary was? It's a good question. The simple answer is it's a patriarchal society. So even though Joseph was not the one to give birth to Jesus, he is still considered to be his father because Joseph is the head of the house. It's a patriarchal society. Genealogy actually is tracked through the mom. You are made Jewish by your mother, but your household is defined by your father. You are ethnically Jewish if your mother is Jewish. So your father could be something totally different, but if your mom is ethnically Jewish, you are considered to be, according to the Jewish tradition, Jewish. I know this sounds bizarre, but if your mom is Jewish, then you are considered to be an inheritor of that Jewish lineage. However, because they are a patriarchal society, the household travels through the dad. That when Mary leaves her parents' household and joins herself to the household of Joseph. That makes sense? That Mary leaves her association, her household, and in turn joins Joseph's household. And by joining Joseph's household, Jesus becomes comes from the household of Joseph, and therefore coming from the household of Joseph fits within the genealogy. So that's why. Patriarchal. Households travel through dad. Ethnicity travels through mom. Dun, dun, dun. I know it's kind of like I don't want to say a boring answer, but households travel through dads. That's why you get like son of, son of, son of, son of, son of. There are no women in this. And that's just because of the culture of the context of the day. You know, the father of, the father of, the father of, the father of, the father of. See? That's all. It's just a cultural thing. Nothing too terrible. Every so often you get like, yeah, okay, whose mother was Tamar, whose mother was Rahab, whose mother was Ruth. Right? But like, so here's an example. Ruth. Ruth was a convert into, essentially she was like a convert basically into the Jewish family, if you will, because she adopts the Jewish faith by virtue of her mother. But she marries Boaz as her second husband. And Boaz and Ruth have Obed. So the genealogy tracks through Boaz because he's the guy, while acknowledging that Ruth was involved. Rahab, Ruth. This is always interesting. Rahab, Ruth, Tamar. The women that they go out of the way to mention are particularly messy. Though, let's be honest, the guys are messy too. Super messy. I mean, you get the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Ugh, you want to talk about messy. But, okay. Hope that helps. Does that help? Good, you're welcome. Shout out for free books at libraries. This is a non-fiction Dewey Decimal Guide. What you got us look at? Wow, look at that. Of the Chicago Library Dewey Decimal Guide. Huh. No kid. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Katie. There you go. So this is consistent, Katie, across all libraries because it's the Dewey Decimal System. Fascinating. I didn't know that. I mean, look at this. Wow. Zoroastrianism has its own Dewey Decimal. That's hilarious. Wow. Yeah, use of art in Christianity. Oh, fascinating. Church furnishings, articles. Interesting. Oh, family life. Interesting even to see, Katie, what ones they go out of their way to have. Oh, yeah. Tells you the various churches. Absolutely fascinating. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Dewey Decimal System. A guide. Thank you. That's fabulous. All libraries. Well, I'm going to remember that. Cool. Nice. Well, there you go. So make use of this for sure. And yeah, it'll stay in the comments. So you should be able to get back to it too. Or just Google it. Google, Google this. The 200ths and the Dewey Decimal. Super neat. Oh, I love it. Oh, that's fascinating. Okay. Good. Let's see. All right. So some other stuff that I can tell you. All right. Other resources. Yeah, pour them out there, guys. You got more resources. My go-to, quick and easy, is Bible Gateway. There are other ones. I'll admit I use Bible Gateway as a simple way. BibleGateway.com. It has, oodles of translations. If I'm on the web and I can't get to my software easily, I use Bible Gateway. Now, in Bible Gateway, the question becomes, which is what we should talk about next, is which translation should you use? Now, I will always advocate for whatever translation you are actually willing to use is the one that you should use. Rather have any translation than no Bible and no translation. But that said, I do have more specific preferences within various translations, ones that I will highlight for you. Amplified is kind of fun. It takes a single sentence and just blows it out. But I wouldn't put too much stock in it. It's just amplified. It's quite literally its name, Amplified. ESV, very transliteral. Super conservatives usually like this one because it's very, very transliteral. So a lot of more conservative places like that. Holman Christian, pretty, yeah. It's going to swing a little bit the other way, a little bit more progressive probably. The Message, if you're looking for let's be clear, this is not a translation. This is a paraphrase. That's something totally different. What happened is a guy literally sat down and rewrote the Bible according to his own words. So he did not use Greek. He did not use Hebrew. He did not use history or he just sat down and rewrote it with his own words. His name's Eugene Peterson. He's a pastor. And at the same time, it's very, 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 very much so conversational vernacular. It can be helpful. It can be helpful for some people. So I just point that one out because it can be helpful. NASB, also a little bit more conservative. Solid, good. NIV, I would generally advocate for NIV as just being a very middle of the road, very good, easy reading, very much so like NIV personally. I personally like NIV a lot. I think it's a very good middle of the road, easy reading, understandable, good scholarship. So I really like NIV. NLT, New Living Translation, is the one that Pastor Bob and I preach out of as Christ Church. The reason we preach out of NLT is because it leans a little bit further away from transliteral and more towards interpretive. And as such, it is a little bit more accessible. It's a little bit more vernacular, conversational. And because we're a church for those who aren't here yet, when you sit down and you try to read some of these biblical texts, and if you're reading something that's a little bit more transliteral, like a literal translation, transliteral, it can be very confusing, all right? So NLT is it talks a little bit more about the intent behind the author as opposed to what the author actually wrote. It leans towards being more conversational and therefore a little bit more accessible, which is why we use it. It's still scholarly, it's still really reputable, it's still really well done, et cetera, et cetera. Don't think there's this balance that translators have to walk, which is to say that simple things like in Greek, words don't line up the same way that they line up in English. If you do verbs and nouns and everything has a specific sequence in the English language, it does not play by the same rules in ancient Greek or in ancient Hebrew. There are no punctuation. There's no punctuation in the Bible. The original text, there is no period. Okay? So what the editors and translators have to do is sit down and figure out where the periods go in order for us to understand it within the English language. So it's a question of how factually accurate you want to remain to the original text versus how much of a step of translation you want to do in order for it to make sense in the language that you're trying to translate it into. So English is a translation of the original text, and as such, translators put periods in and punctuation in, capital letters, all that sort of stuff. So it's a gradation. There's a spectrum of how far they'll go. Rearranging where words go. In Greek, the noun could be at the end of the could literally be the last word in the sentence. A noun could be the last word. You could get all the other stuff and then finally find out who you're talking about or what you're talking about. Well, in English, that'd be really hard at times, right? So here's another one that I'll recommend, the NRSV. This is the one that I like to do when I do a little bit more academic approach. I'm a fan of the NRSV. A little bit more academic, scholarly orientation to it. Very good. Maybe progressive leaning, maybe. I hate to use those terms, guys, in general, but they're very, very, very broad brushstrokes. Okay, seriously broad brushstrokes. Here's an example for you. The NRSV, which is it's a new version of the RSV. The RSV and the NIV. Okay, NIV and the RSV. The RSV got updated with the new Revised Standard Version. The Revised Standard Version started as a middle-of-the-road translation that a bunch of scholars, both very orthodox, conservative, a little bit more progressive, all over the map. They got like all the scholars that they could from all over the place to say, we got to find some common ground here. And they started well down the path of translation before they hit a specific verse. And the verse has to do with a child will be born to a young virgin. So here's the deal. Isaiah 7. This literally split the translation crew in half. It all had to do with this one word, virgin. Isaiah 7 says, therefore the Lord will give himself a sign. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son and call him Emmanuel. In Hebrew, this word can mean virgin. It can also mean, and is more commonly, young woman. Okay? Young woman. So, let's see if they grab it. Yes. No, that's good news. Isaiah 7:14. Isaiah 7:14. Isaiah 7:14. There you go. Young woman. That is the difference between the NIV and the NIV and the NRSV. What happened is they got translating, and the RSV crew said, young woman. Click Greek, the virgin. And a bunch of them said, no way, we can't put young woman in there. That doesn't imply that it's a virgin birth. And the NRSV translator said, that's the word, though. The word means young woman. And the NIV people said, well, it also means virgin. And if you write young woman, people will think that that she wasn't a virgin, that the Holy Spirit wasn't involved. Right? What's implied, what could be interpreted here is that, Mary was intimate with Joseph, and therefore Jesus is biologically Joseph's. And they didn't want to cause confusion around introducing that with the translation. So the NIV crew split off and started making the NIV. Like, you can't make this stuff up. A bunch of guys got mad because they said, no, that's going to make people think the wrong way. And a bunch of the other guys said, well, this is what it is. We're not going to change it. My goodness. So the NIV and the NRSV split as translators. And half the crew went one way and half the crew went the other way. Generally, this is why I use these broad brush strokes that must be handled very open-handedly. Open-handedly. Can I be more clear? But open-handedly, because the NIV crew had a more orthodox conservative concern about retaining the virginity of Mary, they are considered to be a little bit more that term gets used or labeled upon them. It's a little bit more of a conservative translation, as opposed to more. This is considered to be a little bit more progressive, for no other reason than it chose this word choice. That's how nuanced this stuff gets. Okay, I just want to highlight the fact that that's the level of nuance that we're talking about here. All right. So, okay. NRSV I like, though, because I think it's a very good one. Other ones, those are the ones I would stick with. NRSV is good middle of the road, and NIV is good. It's like center right, center left. If you have to put labels on it, which frankly we shouldn't, but if we have to, both good. Both. This one's just a little bit more, has a reputation for being a little bit more academic, and this one has a reputation for being a little bit more easy reading. There are plenty of people who will disagree with my interpretive lenses of these translations, and that's fine. NASB is very transliteral. ESV, very transliteral. Message, paraphrase. A lot of the other ones, just ignore them. Can I say that? Just ignore them. Don't even bother. Don't even bother. I mean, there's plenty of other ones in here, but just don't. American Standard, meh. Some of these are just really wonky, so don't even, God's Word translation is wonky. It's got history and context to it. Don't even bother, okay? Stick with the big ones. NIV, NAT, okay. NIV, NRSV, NLT. Those are the big ones. All right, enough on translations. Fascinating. Good. I'm glad you like it. Joe's on board too. Nice. Yeah. A little bit of trivia. Okay, we talked about Vimeo. We talked about YouTube. You're all going to do your due diligence and make sure that you get your biblical content from an actual church and not some guy in his basement spouting off how the end times and numerology are upon us. Speaking of good videos, here's the next resource that I'll recommend to you guys. When you're looking for a resource, this is a good one. The Bible Project. I like these guys. I like these guys a lot. Their theology, I will admit, is nuanced and different, but I like how they talk. I like how they frame things. Specifically, Tim Mackey is very, very intelligent, careful with his language. Tim Mackey is the brain behind the Bible Project. He was educated out in the West Coast and then got his PhD from Madison. While he was at Madison, he got a PhD in ancient languages, specifically Hebrew. So he's fluent in ancient Hebrew and ancient Greek. I mean, he's a mastermind when it comes to the original languages. But his specialty is in Hebrew and in Semitic studies. So ancient Jewish studies. He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. He was a teaching pastor at Black Hawk Church in Madison while he was going through his program. And then he was a pastor out in Portland. And then he and another pastor, started this Bible Project experience. And I highly recommend them if you're looking for videos. They have a ton of very good videos. Again, I always feel like I have to put a little asterisk on it. They are coming out of a different tradition. They're going to be a little bit more reformed, is the tradition. That's fine. They'll approach things differently. They'll talk about things a little bit differently than me and Pastor Bob will. They'll approach things with their own theological lens. That's fine. It's just have that awareness, okay? But generally speaking, it's very good stuff. Very, very impressed with good stuff. You can tease out themes, word studies, all sorts of stuff. And it's beautiful artistry. And they have different series, like Spiritual Beings series. This is actually a really good series that I thought was really well done. But like here are great examples. These are all videos. And Tim Mackey is the guy behind him. It's very, very good. If you're looking for an overview of a biblical book, these are great. He's a little hard line in terms of like, he's very clear that this is what it's meant to be or meant to be. This is how it lays out. He's not wrong, but he comes across with confidence, we'll say. And again, that's not bad. He's very confident in saying this is how the book unfolds. It's not bad. There are other scholars that will disagree with him, but he's an incredibly brilliant scholar. So you have to respect the guy for where he's coming from. But these are great in New Testament as well, Old Testament, New Testament. So these are really, really good. Really good videos. Sometimes they're broken in like 2 parts. Here's an example, and they're cleverly done, cleverly laid out. So highly recommend the Bible Project. I want to also offer up that they have a podcast, and this would be another example of good quality teaching that I would encourage you to replace your Tuesday night teaching with. Is that they spend a lot of time going into really good podcasts, and this is them just talking through a whole bunch of stuff, right? A whole bunch of stuff. Like they got series on Jonah and tons of stuff. Cosmology. They're bringing different guests. They've got some really good guests that they do, and there's loads. I mean, there's just loads. So if you've got a commute, if you like to put, if you're used to putting me on and doing dishes, just have me on in the background, just put these guys on instead. He's smarter than I am. He's way smarter than I am. So he's a better communicator and he's smarter. Okay, so put this guy on. You should have been listening to this guy all along. Let's be honest. But he's very good. Highly recommend the Bible Project, and they're going to be expanding. They got a bunch of stuff going on. They got different studies that you can dive into if you're looking for different, things that you can study. So great resource. It's all entirely free, which I appreciate too. They just really have a heart of generosity, and so this is all accessible to you and accessible, made for you. So they're growing leaps and bounds. So if there's one place that I want to encourage you guys to go to for kind of a one-stop shop, it's the Bible Project. You can get a podcast, you can get videos, you can get written material. It's great stuff. All right, if you want to do a little bit more of an academic approach, if you want to get down into some of the nitty-gritty, some little bit more scholarship, and you want to spend time browsing the web, the question becomes, where do I go if I want to browse the web? Okay, there's plenty of places not to go. Can I say that again? There are plenty of places not to go. Here is the place to go. It's where I'm going to recommend that if you want to spend some time, if you want to look up a Bible book, if you want to explore different stuff, if you want to get some further knowledge growth, great resource. Enter the Bible. All right. And in the same way, you're going to find video content here. You're going to find podcasts for you to listen to. I mean, loads of stuff, okay? Maps. You guys always love maps. Why do you guys love maps so much? I don't know, but everybody seems to love maps. Okay, well, here's a bunch of maps for you. You can get into different books, specific questions. Yeah, they got loads of stuff here, okay? You can look up persons, author, and the reason why I want to advocate for this specific source is because this is out of my tradition. This is brought to you by a seminary. It's brought to you by the seminary that Pastor Bob and I both went to, Enter the Bible and Luther Seminary. They work together in bringing this resource to people, and it's, again, entirely free. You get an account. You know, these are blogs, podcasts, plenty of things to look at, videos, courses. I have not dabbled in this in a while, if I'm honest, but these are a lot of these people were my professors. Geyser, yeah, Freidam, Schifferdecker, Throntveit. This guy was awesome. This guy was fabulous. He's translated Chronicles. He's one of the most renowned translators of Chronicles. Oh, you can see he just Throntveit, and he has a hilarious. Wow, he's done tons of these. Look at this. He's done, and he's hilarious. He's got such a good sense of humor. He's the most dry person on the planet. He's got some of the most dry stuff. Rolf Jacobson, very intelligent, very good. Yeah, he's good. Paget. So a lot of these guys are professors that I had. Pastor Bob also would associate with the seminary. Here you go. Craig Kester. John. Brilliant. Brilliant. Skinner's smart guy. Heinrich's smart. Would have some theological variants. I should put a little caveat on this. I did not agree with all my professors while I was there. Yes, it's true. Holtgren, solid. But there are other professors who I would have some variance with, and that's okay. That's an okay thing. But a lot of these guys are great. Hebrews and Kester, man, he's so good. So good. Bring some of these guys to a CC guest speaker event. Yeah, listen to you, Joe. So here you go. This is why I should show this all to you, is right here. Because of this, everybody on the planet wants to study what book? Revelation. Here's the guy to do it with, Craig Kester. This guy is brilliant. Brilliant. And not only is he brilliant, he has the heart of a pastor while being brilliant. He's incredible. You would show up to his lectures and you would just be like, okay, just talk. And you would just soak it in. So if you want to study Revelation, here's the place to go. Enter the Bible and start reading from Craig Kester. All right, I got a lot more to go through and I only got 10 more minutes. Here's another one that I want to lift up for you. If you're looking for another really good scholar, N.T. Wright. N.T. Wright. Sometimes goes by Tom Wright. N.T. Wright Online. He is one of the premier worldwide scholars of New Testament. Premier worldwide. This guy is a giant across every denomination. He's Anglican, but it doesn't matter like where you come from. Everybody respects this guy. Okay, he's a prolific writer. He's written a ton of books. One of the cool things that he does too is there's a guy at Elmbrook who partnered with N.T. Wright, reached out to N.T. Wright, and got N.T. Wright to start doing these courses. Yeah, Elmbrook, like as in Wisconsin. N.T. Wright actually comes to Wisconsin on occasion because of this center that was established for learning and growth out of Elmbrook. And he's put a ton of these, and I've got some of them, and they're fabulous. He's got these courses where it's just him talking into a camera, but they're just awesome. He puts them on sale regularly. They do cost a little bit of money, and they have different, beginner, advanced, intermediate levels, if you will. But they're absolutely fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Here you go. What's the free course right now? You got 2 free courses. He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant, and I would recommend any book that he's written as well. N.T. Wright. So if you're looking for an author and you're looking for like an online course that you want to take, this is basically like Tuesday night teaching. He was part of the inspiration for this because that's what he does. He does what I do. He talks into a camera in his office, and he's just brilliant. So if you're looking for some really good stuff, hang out with N.T. Wright, and he's got a bunch of books. Speaking of, I want to list up his book set, The New Testament for Everyone. He says it's for everyone, but it's a little bit more advanced, I'll be honest. This is not something that I would give to a new Christian, but I would give this to somebody who has at least a basic grounding in there, has some biblical literacy, okay, has read the Bible at least through once already, and wants to step back and do some more personal study or devotional study. Yes, I see the price tag. Yes, I'm not suggesting you go and drop $200 and buy the entire set. What I am doing is showing you that there is a set, and you can buy individual copies within the set. So look up, if you want to read the book of Acts or study the book of Acts, this would be an example for $12. You can buy specifically the book of Acts from this, and then you can have N.T. Wright coach you through the book of Acts, but he's going to be a little bit more advanced. He says it's for everyone. It's not for everyone. It's just have an awareness. It's at least at the same level that we've been tracking. Okay, but I want to offer this up because this is a great way that you can build your library. If you were looking for what to do on Tuesday nights and you don't want to do like a podcast, or you don't want to do a video experience, you just want to sit with a good book and the Bible, here you go. Do this. Do this. You can handle it. You can do it. Dive in. Get in there. Cut your teeth on this. All right. Katie might be able to get some for free from your local library. Keep plugging that library, Katie. I love it. Yes, ma'am. Library. Check out NT Wright's stuff. He's got a number of incredible books. I wanted to lift up the New Testament for everyone specifically, though, as a way to show you that he has a variety of biblically based stuff, where it's like sit down with the Bible study. He's got a bunch of other things, of course. I love this one. Surprised by Hope. Loved this one. Paul, if you want to read Paul. We talked about that one a lot before, too. Loved this one, The New Testament in Its World. Brilliant, really well done. I've not read Advent for Everyone. I should. Anyways, he's got a bunch of really good ones. Look at all these books. He's got oodles. So here's an example. $10, and you can do Revelation. There you go. That's like an example for $10. Look at it. Used $4. Okay. NT Wright. Great resource. If you want to really invest, you can ask me privately about Logos. This is the software that I use. So here's an example of, this is what you guys see me use on an ongoing basis all the time over the last number of weeks. It is the top of the line, premier, best you can get software. Just be aware of this, that should you go down this road, there are clever ways to do it. That is to say, don't go and buy big. What you want to do is buy as small as you can and add as you go. So they try to sell you all these big base packages, is what they refer to them as. They try to sell you these extremely expensive base packages. The answer is buy the cheapest one you can, and then you add to your library from there. Okay. So if you're anybody, so like me, I have tons and tons of commentaries. Well, that's because what they do is they pad their packages with commentaries. See, look at all these. Look at all these commentaries. I don't use any of these. These were all freebies. I don't use any of these. What I do is I use the ones that I bought. Does that make sense? So I only use the top 8. These are the ones that I purchased over time. So if you want to go a software route and you want to find out more, ping me privately and we can talk about Logos and I can coach you through. There's some really good ways to navigate this. It is the best software for language, academia, anything you could imagine. They're the best, hands down. Okay, a couple more before we got to wrap up. I want to lift up for you commentaries. Again, if you're not going to go with a software route, the question becomes, what are the good commentaries that I can get? And basically, as a frame of reference for you, what a commentary is basically Tuesday night teaching. It is someone who has been educated, someone who's far more smart than I, let's be frank again, like someone who's brilliant. They're the ones who write commentaries, okay? Or at least they should be the ones writing commentaries. So here is my favorite commentary set, the New Interpreters. That's my favorite commentary. And they have an all-in-one volume. This is the one that I'm going to recommend if you're only going to get one. It's not to be confused with the New Interpreter Study Bible. So the Study Bible is got commentary on half the page and then the Bible on the other half of the page. The one volume commentary is a little bit more exhaustive. It's bigger. It's got more in there. Yeah, nice. When I was a young mom at home, I read the volumes of 2-foot set of the Bibles available at the Weinberg Library, checking them out one volume at a time. Way to go, Trudy. That's just fabulous. That's awesome. Gotta love your local library, guys. So the Sir family, little known fact, but when we go on vacations, we actually visit libraries, like for fun. That's like one of our things. Growing up, and now I passed it on to my girls. Whenever we go on a family vacation, we try to find the nearest library. wherever we're staying, and then we actually go in and we spend time at that library and we get pictures and things like that. We go to libraries for vacation. Huh? Nerd. Okay. This is a really good stuff though. The New Interpreter's Commentary, and another thing to think about with the New Interpreters is it's far more exhaustive, right? So like in my Bible software, I know, isn't that great, Katie? I've been to like literally. Well, I still remember a family cruise once. We took a family cruise. I was like in 8th grade. It was the first family cruise we ever took. It was a big deal, and we went to the Bahamas for like 2 nights. And where did we go? We went to the historical castle and like the library. Yes, presidential libraries. Joe, you should talk to my brother Daniel. His goal is to visit all presidential libraries, and he's literally plans his vacations around visiting all the presidential libraries, and he's got a huge number of them ticked off already. So the New Interpreters, though, is a very, very big set. I have it within the context of my software, but you can buy them volume by volume hard copy, okay? And there are loads of volumes, right? And so, like, here's an example of a specific volume, and it will cover specific portions of the Bible. It will not cover the whole thing, as opposed to the one volume. The one volume is just like us, takes all these volumes and it does the highlights, if you will. So this is the number one most recommended commentary that I would provide for people, though. That said, you have to have some theological training to navigate it. All right. If you don't have any theological training, or you feel like that's just like, what is he even talking about? Stick to the N.T. Wright stuff. And if N.T. Wright is just too heavy, too much, back up to the Bible Project. Okay. I'm trying to show you in terms of progression as well. Like the Bible Project is going to be your most accessible, starting with some of their introductory videos and going from there. N.T. Wright is going to assume that you've read the Bible. And you have at least some basic, you've got some good biblical literacy is the terminology in our world, biblical literacy. And then things like the New Interpreters is assuming academic level, intellectual engagement level. Here's another commentary that I would recommend as a backup, and that's the Augsburg Commentary. This you can buy. I will recommend this because you can buy this as well, volume by volume, and it's going to be a little bit cheaper because they're a little bit smaller. I think PB's got them all. So I have all these in my software, but I don't have a lot of the hard copies. PB's got some of the hard copies for you. But you can buy, here's why I want to recommend this, because for $3.68 you can get a new commentary of Luke, and we've been studying Luke, right? So you sit down with the book of Luke and you can read for $3.68. You can have a scholar walk you through the book of Luke. Okay, so here's another one I would recommend is the Augsburg Commentary of the New Testament. All right, there's my commentaries for you. Here are some broad overview books that I'll recommend for you. Mark Allen Powell is very renowned. This is going to be collegiate level. This is like collegiate level, introducing the New Testament. He's also got a follow-up one of if you want to focus on just the Gospels. But Mark Allen Powell is what I read my freshman year of college. It's a very academic approach to the biblical text. Bear in mind, it's academic. Did I mention that it's academic? That has a different feel. It is not devotional. There's a big difference between academic and scholarly and devotional. Good preaching helps bring the two together. This guy focuses on the academic, but it's very, very edifying. It's very, very educational. It's really good stuff. If you're looking for basic Bible dictionaries are very helpful. I recommend that you pick up a Bible dictionary. You can get hard copy. Here's a Kindle for $2. HarperCollins is a really good Bible dictionary. If you've got a question about a specific place, a person, something like that, you can look it up in a good, solid, reputable dictionary. I got 3 for you. HarperCollins is my favorite personally. Erdman's is another really good one. Erdman's is really, really a solid, reputable one as well. They've got a ton of stuff. I have all these on my digital version, and I use them regularly. Again, don't be bashful. Look for used. $8.20 for a good Bible dictionary hard copy. Holman Illustrated for those who like pictures, because you guys like maps and you like pictures. Here's Holman Illustrated, okay? And Holman is also going to be another good reputable one. Here is, look at this. I brought this out just because you guys love maps. Holman Bible Atlas, Complete Guide to the Expansive Geography of Biblical History. Holman has a good reputation. Biblical Atlas, it's going to show you maps and pictures of maps and things. Yeah, Joe, totally, man. Powell is good stuff. I mean, Powell is, we intentionally put that in the FLM class because Powell he's that great biblical survey. He helps you see the ancient world. He helps you understand things like politics, economics, geography. He brings in and ties all these different pieces together. He helps create the world and teach you about the world into which Jesus entered, and therefore also that the Bible was birthed into in the Christian movement. So, all right, here's maps for you. Here's a fun one. If you really like to dive into language, if you want to dive into the nuance, if you're like, I love PA when you bring up the Hebrew or the Greek and stuff. I love doing that. So here is something that I was blessed with when I was a high schooler. When I was a senior in high school, I lived with this. Here's the Greek version. I've got the Hebrew one down here as well. They're big. I mean, they're huge. But this is one of the things that spurred me on in my own education back in high school. I sat with the book of Matthew and went through the book of Matthew. And as I went through the book of Matthew, anytime I had a question about any word in Greek, and I would go and I would look it up in this Word Bible dictionary, word study dictionary, and it's brilliant. It's absolutely fabulous. For $23 for a used one, these are well worth the investment if you love language. Okay, so if you want to dig into the nuance of language, this is the Hebrew one that I have up on the screen, but I'm holding the Greek one. They're both about the same size. I got them both here, and they're very, very good. Here's another one, interlineary. If you like, you can do this online. If you like language, just Google it. If you want a hard copy, a little bit more expensive, harder to find. But the point of an interlinear is that you can't really zoom in to see very well, but it's going to have on top the ancient Greek or ancient Hebrew, and on the bottom it will have the transliteral translation of the word, the exact word, and then in the margins it will have how the editors have put it together. Here's an example. You can't really see too well on your screen, but in the center you have the original language, and then in the columns you have how that language reads as if you were reading the Bible. So this says 1 Chronicles 16. So chapter 17 is in the right column, and then in the center it's got the verse by verse. Okay, so if you like language, pick up an interlineary. Strong's Concordance, straightforward. Again, concordances are really helpful, and Strong's is the way to go if you're going to do that. Just a helpful resource. I got a concordance around here somewhere. I don't know. I got a concordance, but nowadays you can do a lot of that digitally as well. Okay, there you go. There's a bunch of resources for you. More importantly, just remember that this video has resources for you, so you can always go back and rewatch this if you're trying to remember what was it that PA recommended. Who is that author? What was the what was the name of the what was the name of the author? What was the name of the commentary? What was the name of the Bible project? I forgot about it. Go back to this video, because this video, like the other videos, will live in perpetuity on that YouTube channel, the Christ Church YouTube channel. So there we go, guys. We did it. Thank you. It is 8:30. That means it is time to shut it down. I want to be respectful of the fact that you guys hung around with me. Thank you. What a blast. Did we do good or what, huh? End of an era. But not really. I mean, that sounds silly, but yeah, hopefully this was really good for you guys over the last number of months. You've really enjoyed it. A lot of you are regulars here, so thank you to all my regulars who love to tune in and enjoy your company. I have greatly enjoyed this medium. I've really enjoyed being able to see your comments, have conversations, show you stuff that I get excited about, and to geek out a little bit on some of the nuances that are particular to the Christian subworld. So hopefully you found tonight at least helpful in setting you up with a good trajectory. As always, you guys have my email. You guys have access to me. You all know that. So pop me off an email if you have particular questions, or you want it, you need a reminder, a jog, or point you in the right direction. But I hope that, I hope that you have had a experience. If you've watched these for any number of time, you've been blessed by the richness of the biblical text, and that your appetite has been whetted for further further study, because this becomes a lifelong endeavor. Like this is what we do now. This is what we do now. It's a lifelong endeavor to unpack, better understand, and let God's word speak to us and enrich us and lead us. That as we do that, we begin to hear the words of Christ speaking to us. So never give up on that learning and growing. Okay? Good stuff. Thank you for being part of this fun online community for all these weeks, whether it's your first time or your 68th, 69th, 70th time, I guess. What a blast, guys. It's just been marvelous. I'll keep you posted if we do return for some classes or something like that. I'll let you know. I'm going to have an ongoing conflict with some other responsibilities on Tuesday nights going forward. But we'll just kind of see. We're just going to be playing it by ear. Of course, I want to make the invitation for you guys to come and hang out with us on Sunday mornings, a.k.a. God. We're rocking on our Christmas series, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10:30 as always. Bring somebody, invite somebody. You know, it's Christmas. Christmas time is here. That means that it's a great chance for us to invite people who would otherwise be perhaps a little put off, a little bit strange from the church. And they're so open. All the studies show it. That right now is when people are like, the pump has been primed. People are open to an invitation because of that gravitational pull of Christmas. So please go out of your way to make an invitation to someone this Christmas to come and be part of Christ Church, or at least another church as well, whatever their local church is. So God bless you all. Thank you for hanging out. What a fun, great experience. I've really enjoyed this time together. So there we go. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, John. Thank you, Trudy. Yeah, thanks, Joe. Yeah, more to come, more good stuff to come. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for being part of the CC stream and for joining me tonight. Go lift lives. Go elevate Christ. Go be a church for those who aren't here yet. So we are. God bless you. We'll see you hopefully on Sunday.